Looking at how ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, and Gemini behave in 2026, you start to see the problem with asking which one is the best. The idea that a single, all-powerful AI can handle every task is being replaced by a much more fractured reality. We have reached a point where large language models have moved away from general improvement and toward hyper-specialization in distinct domains. For most users, sticking to one model out of habit has become a friction tax. You end up losing hours to code that needs manual fixing or content that lacks the right real-time context. Maximizing your efficiency now requires an audit of your own workflow to find the specific model that matches your daily friction points. To find that match, we have to look at the four players currently dominating the landscape: ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, and Gemini. We'll evaluate them through the lens of four specific roles: the deep work specialist, the ecosystem integrator, the real-time reactor, and the generalist. This chart shows the 2026 AI landscape: generalist versus specialist on the x-axis, creative versus logical on the y-axis. Notice how nodes for Claude, Grok, Gemini, and ChatGPT drift toward the edges. The center, a tool perfect at everything, is entirely empty. Obtaining top-tier performance in one area now requires you to accept specific compromises in others. We start with the deep work specialist, the programmers and authors who need the highest possible quality for a single complex output. For refactoring massive codebases or hunting down logic bugs, Claude Opus 4.7 has become the standard for clean, reliable code. This chart compares recent SWE bench scores, which measure an AI's ability to solve real-world software issues. Claude Opus 4.7 reaches an 87.6% score, which puts it well ahead of the competition. That same logic applies to prose. Claude generates the most coherent, human-like text for everything from technical blog posts to internal emails. The trade-off is that Claude lacks a live data pipeline and doesn't have the agentic ability to go off and complete a multi-step project on its own. Using Claude means prioritizing the highest available reasoning depth over broad connectivity. If your work happens mostly inside a corporate suite, you likely care more about frictionless integration than pure logic scores. This is where Gemini excels, specifically because of its context window, which can hold 1 million tokens of data at once. This funnel represents Gemini's ability to ingest massive amounts of data. You can drop an entire library of documents or a full project's worth of code into a single prompt for a bird's-eye analysis. Because it's a Google product, it handles text, video, and data directly inside Gmail, Docs, and Sheets, moving information between apps without you needing to copy-paste. However, its line-by-line coding logic isn't as precise as Claude's, and if you aren't already using the Google ecosystem, most of these advantages disappear. Gemini trades away raw reasoning precision in exchange for macro analysis and workspace fluidity. For marketers and researchers, the most important factor isn't context size, it's speed and relevance. Grok has a direct pipeline to the live data stream on X, which allows it to summarize trends and breaking news as they happen. Its style is direct and unfiltered, often providing straightforward answers where other models might offer a more cautious, corporate response. But Grok doesn't offer the deep work structuring or the polished output formatting that you'll find in Claude or ChatGPT. It is the tool for situational awareness, choosing immediacy over professional polish. That brings us to the generalist, the user who needs a good enough baseline for 100 different tasks without managing 4 different subscriptions. ChatGPT's main strength is its agentic workflow. It is the best at taking a complex prompt and autonomously figuring out the multiple steps required to finish it. Its ecosystem of tool integrations, from social media management to administrative tasks, is still the most mature and reliable version on the market. This scorecard shows how ChatGPT compares across every major category. While ChatGPT earns strong marks in every row, it doesn't take the top spot. Claude remains better for logic, Gemini for integration, and Grok for live data. It is the only model that is consistently good at everything, even if it is the master of none. ChatGPT is the safest baseline for a general workflow, but it is rarely the right choice for hyper-optimized tasks. To build your own stack, you have to look at where your work actually slows down. Where is your primary daily friction? This decision tree maps your needs to the most efficient model. For complex reasoning or coding, follow this branch to Claude. Managing Google Workspace assets or large datasets routes to Gemini. Live research goes to Grok, and general admin lands on ChatGPT. Matching the tool to the specific scenario is the only way to get a real return on your AI investment this year. If you can only justify one subscription, ChatGPT remains the most logical default choice because of its versatility. However, most power users are moving toward a multi-tool approach, switching between 2 or 3 models depending on the task. This scale represents the choice every user has to make, the extra effort of managing multiple apps versus the quality of the final result. Achieving the highest possible efficiency requires you to lean into that friction to get the specialized results these models offer. Look at your own output from the last week and see which of these 4 profiles actually fits your work. Tell me in the comments which model you're leaning on the most, or if there's a specific use case you want me to test next. The best AI is the one that actually solves your problem. Thanks for watching.